Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elle and today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up. So May was a very busy month for me. I had a lot of stuff going on, very busy. I feel like for me personally, I just feel like May and June are so busy for me, and I'm getting ready to go on a trip. I'm going to be in New England for a month, which I am so excited for. I'm going to be staying at my family lake house, and so we have a lake house in Lake George, which is in the Adirondacks of New York, and so I'm super excited. I'm going to spend some time with family, spend some time on the lake, and just having the best time ever, so I'm very excited. And I will also be doing videos there, so it'll be kind of a different setup. I don't know. I have to figure out like where I want to set up in there, because there isn't like a great spot, but I'll figure it out. So May was just super busy, and I felt very anxious in May, and sometimes when I get super anxious I just don't feel like I have the time to sit down and physically read. So I read a ton of audiobooks this month, and they were definitely my best friend this month, and I've just been on an audiobook kick. So hopefully in June I can relax a little bit more and get into my physical TBR. So let's get right into this video. I have some books that I absolutely love this month and some duds. So the first book I read was Hello Stranger by Lisa Kleypas. I listened to this on audio. I've been listening to the whole Ravenel series on Hoopla, and it has been amazing. This one was really fun. I give it 4 stars. So our heroine is one of the first doctors in high society England, or just England in general, and so she meets our hero. He's a detective, and they kind of meet and they kind of start up this a little bit of romance flirtation thing going on. And so basically the whole story was really about their romance, very character driven. I feel like there wasn't a ton of action, especially towards the end, because he is a detective and he was finding out detective things. I just didn't love this one as much as others in this series. I thought it was really cool seeing a heroine who was a doctor during this time, and we had to see her go through trials of people not believing her just because she's a woman, and so I did really like that. It's not my favorite of the Ravenel series, but I did really enjoy it. And the next book I read in May was Primal by Janika Snow. This one was so fun. I got an ARC a couple days before it released from Janika and her team, so I want to thank them so much. And I really enjoyed this one. I've been loving this series from her. It is a monster romance series, and each of them is a different like fairy tale romance retelling. So the first book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it's so good with monsters. The second one is not Goldilocks, it's Red Riding Hood, and I really like that one, with an actual wolf, and I really like that one. And then this one, Primal, was a Goldilocks and the Three Bears retelling. So this sets place where it's a why choose romance. They all get together with Goldilocks, and there's a breeding kink in this one. There's a dubious consent, and it was really good. Like, I loved this. I love monster romances, especially Janika Snow's monster romances. She just does them so well. So I gave this one 4 stars. I really love this one. And then I read Bewitched by Laura Thalassa. I give this one 2 stars. I really did not like this book for many reasons. So the first reason was that when this book was being marketed, it might have been on my mistake, but I had really high expectations, because she was marketing as like this witch discovers this god from another world, and she reawakens him, and he thinks that she is his wife, and I was like, that sounds amazing. But what I didn't read the rest of the synopsis, and this was my fault, that this is based where she basically awakens him and he follows her to this academy where she is trying to become a witch in this coven, and then these murders start happening at the academy where these witches are being murdered, and they think it is the heroine. So I thought that this was going to be a high fantasy romance, like in a fantastical world, but it is urban fantasy, and I just didn't like that. I did not like the author's choice of the world. I really thought it was going to be more on the lines of like what she did with her other series. I can't remember what it's called. It's the like Fae series she did. It's not the Four Horsemen. I can't remember the series. I'll put it up on the screen. But I thought it was going to be more along the lines of that. And so that's one of the reasons I didn't enjoy it. And then they kept having the same argument over and over again because of her amnesia, which I got really annoyed with. And it just was not a favorite for me. And I did enjoy the romance, but the plot was so slow, and it's supposed to be a 3-book series. And I was like, I can't deal with this. So I trudged through. I skimmed basically the ending, and I'm just not, I don't want to read the next books in this series. It just was not a favorite from Lord Thalassa, which is really disappointing because I was so excited for this book. But that's okay. You have some books that you love and some books you don't love, and that's just the life of a reader. So the next book I read in May was Hunting Adeline. So I listened to the audio of this one, and I think I gave it 4 stars, 3.5 stars. I did really like this one. This is the second installment of the Cat and Mouse duet by H.G. Carlton, and I love the first book. It was so fun. It is a stalker romance. This one, though, I'm not really going to talk about the synopsis of this book, but it was so much darker than the first book. Crazy darkness, like so many trigger warnings. I did enjoy it, but if you don't like dark romance, the first book is definitely on the lighter side of darker romance. This one was very, very dark. Probably one of the darkest romances I've read, like along the lines definitely of Sick Fucks by Tilly Cole. And I really did like this one, but then I just felt like there were parts in this book that it would be long periods of time, just like this book could have been so much shorter. But I did enjoy the conclusion and the growth that these characters went through in this book. And I do recommend this duet. I do recommend listening to it on audio. I really loved the audios of this one. If I read it physically, I don't think I would have liked it as much as I did like it, but still, this is like 3.5, 4 stars because it was really long in some parts. But I did love the growth of the Herod in this one and a lot of the things that she had to go through. So I like this one. I don't know if you would like this one. I did love the first book, but yeah, so I read this chunker and I'm very proud of myself. And the narrators, I think, are Teddy Hamilton, and I can't remember the female narrator, but he did such a good job with this book, this narration. It was so, so good. And then I listened to The Silent Waters by Brittany C. Cherry. This one is a very emotional romance. So our heroine, when they were younger, the hero and heroine he's her like brother's best friend, and they were playing, and she was supposed to meet him in the woods to do this like marriage thing, like a kid, like a fun, like, oh, like make believe we're getting married kind of thing. And she sees something in the woods that really traumatizes her, and ever since then she does not talk anymore. And so now it's years later, and they are starting to find like a relationship with each other, and they just have to go through trials. Her mother is very just like she's very fragile, and so this is just the trials of them getting back together. And then there's a time jump in this one where he leaves for a little bit and then come back, so it's kind of second chance. I don't want to like go into too much detail because I think it's really good to go into this one blind, but I loved this book. I listened to it on audio. I finished it in one day. It was incredible, very emotional, lots of things going on with these characters, but I loved it. Like, definitely one of my new favorite reads of all time. It was just incredible. And then I read The Counterfeit Scoundrel by Lorraine Heath. I gave this one 3 stars. I didn't really love it. It was okay. I felt, I don't know, just like it was kind of slow, and maybe I just wasn't in the mood to read it. I've read like a ton of historical romances by this point, this past, like in May. So this one, the heroine is a spy, and she's infiltrating the hero's home because he thinks that he is like aiding adultery, where he will like sleep with women basically so that they can get out of their like bad marriages. And so she thinks that like she's trying to help her client who thinks that his wife is cheating on him, and so she's trying to get information, but she is being like a maid in like spying on him. And that's kind of where the story takes off. It's really interesting. I did like that like synopsis of it. I just felt like this was slow and I just wasn't in the mood for it. So I think that also was a reason I didn't really like it, but I am excited to continue on with this series because the next book is coming out in, I think in like May or June, so I'm excited to read that one. Then I have Devil's Daughter by Lisa Kleypas. This is the next book in the Ravenel series, and I absolutely love this one. A new favorite of the series. It was incredible. So our heroine is a widower and a single mom to 2 little boys. She's also the daughter of Sebastian from Devil in Winter from the Wallflower series. And so she is seeing her like late husband's bully from, I think, boarding school, which is West Ravenel, and they are at this like wedding for his sister, and so they are being reacquainted, and she knows that her husband absolutely hated him, but he is going to help her with some like agricultural stuff on her estate because she's now in charge of her estate, and she doesn't really know what she's doing, so he's helping her, but she is slowly falling for him, and she's supposed to hate him because her husband hated him. It's very angsty. It is so good. This is one of my favorites from Lisa Kleypas. They both are very tortured because of what happened to her with her husband, and then he's very tortured because he was kind of a scoundrel in his past life, and he's dealing with that effects. And she has 2 sons, like I said earlier, and they're adorable, and so like she and him are spending a lot of time with the sons. I just really love this one. It was so good. An amazing romance, 5 stars from Lisa Kleypas. Then I read 2 Fights by Nikki Castle. This is a friends to lovers romance. This deals heavily with abuse in this one, or I think it's like, oh gosh, what is it? Okay, so our heroine, she was in a very abusive relationship, and she's in this abusive relationship for about 20 to 30% of this book. We see this, and she finally gets out of that, and it's kind of her finding herself after that relationship and finding herself worthy again. And that's when she kind of starts hanging out more with Jax, who's the hero. He's also her sister's best friend. So they start hanging out more, and they're figuring out they might have a connection. And Jax is also an MMA fighter, so there's some sports romance aspects in this one. And it's really good. I really liked it. I did think that we did not need for her to be in that relationship for most of the book like we saw in the first book of that abusive relationship, and I felt like it kind of took away from the romance. That's why I gave this one 4 stars, but I did really like it, and the hero becomes very possessive over her, and it's like, you know, he is not going to hurt you, I will be there for you, which I really liked. This was just a solid read from Nikki Castle, and I'm excited to read the next book. And I read Laban Tequila by Fiona Cole. This is a new favorite book, 5 stars, incredible. So this is a second chance rock star romance. So our hero and heroine were step siblings, but now their parents are divorced, I think. And they became really good friends, and they started dating in high school. And then something happened where they broke up, and they haven't seen each other for years, and the hero is actually in a band. He's in like one of the most popular bands in the world right now, and so she's very hurt from him and hurt from their past relationship because she still loves him. And so something funny happens where her best friend goes on an Instagram live with him, and she's there with her best friend, and he sees her for the first time in years, and he's like, oh my gosh, how are you? And so he kind of butts his head back into her life after years of them not seeing each other. And then it's very angsty because she's very mad at him for leaving her. And then she ends up going on road with them because she was a songwriter for them when they were in high school, like helped them with some of their songs. And so now she's going on the road with them and writing songs with him again, and it's very emotional. And I love this one. I thought it was so good. He really had to grovel and prove to her he wasn't like who he was before. And I love that, and that he had grown a lot. And I really love that about this book. And I really liked the ending of this one. It was a cool twist, and I just really love this one. 5 stars. So good. And I finally read The Wrong Heart by Jennifer Hartman. This one is just insane. I really liked it. I give it 5 stars. So this is a very emotional romance where our heroine was married and her husband was killed, and his heart was given to another man, and so she basically tries to contact that other man, and she starts kind of an epistolary thing with this guy where she starts writing to him, and it's kind of helping her through her grief. And then on the other opposite of that, she is attending this grief slash, I think it's a suicide prevention group of people who attempted suicide. And so she meets this guy there, and he's very grumpy, she's very sunshine, and they kind of strike up a friendship. And so it's kind of her just trying to live again, and she's starting to find happiness with the hero, who is very grumpy. And that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil it. And she starts falling for the man who has her husband's heart. So it's very angsty, forbidden, taboo. It's so good. I really, really love this one. Definitely a new favorite from Jennifer Harper. It's not, I don't like it more than Still Beating. Like, Still Beating is at a higher bar than this one, but I still really like this one. Then I read Chasing Cassandra by Lisa Kleypas. This is, I don't know, like the second to last book in the Ravenel series. I listened to it on Hoopla. This one was really fun. Not like one of my all-time favorites from the series. I gave this one 4.5 stars, but I did really like it. This is a marriage convenience. The heroine is very curvy, so she meets the hero, and he is very instantly like infatuated with her and wants to marry her, but they both don't want to marry for love. Well, she wants to marry for love and he doesn't, so he's really trying to prove to her that we can be happy in this relationship, but we don't have to fall in love with each other. She's like, no, I want to find love. So they start courting each other and hanging out, and it's just really cute and sweet. I really liked it. I did love the representation in this one. She is a curvy heroine, and the hero is also a made man, so he's very wealthy. And I just really liked it. I thought it was fun. Not like an all-time favorite, but I did really enjoy it. And then I read Little Lies by Helena Hunting. This one was so amazing. Definitely a top favorite of this year. I give it 5 stars. It was incredible. So our hero and heroine basically grew up together, and they were best friends, and they kind of depended on each other for everything after the heroine went through a very traumatic event when she was younger, and now it's years later. He did something that really, really hurt her, and now they are both in college, and she has to see him again after years of not like having contact with him, and he just like really hates her and does not want to be around her, but it's all like a farce. Like, he really truly loves her, but because they depended on each other so much, he's like, we can't be together, and so he's mean to her because he knows they can't be together. And it is just such a good story. I love this one. I listened to it on audio. The audiobook is incredible. I just love the angstiness, the taboo-ness, the I want you so badly but I can't have you feeling. And it was incredible. I love this book. It is set in college, a new adult, and he's also a hockey player, but there isn't too much of the hockey in this one, but it was just incredible. I don't want to give too much away, but I just love this one. And then I read Legacy of Shadows on audio. I was gifted this arc from Forever and Always PR, so thank you to them. I really enjoyed this one. I give this one 4 stars. It's kind of a quicker audiobook. It was only like 6 hours long, but I really enjoyed it. So this book is basically about our heroine, who she is in a really bad home life, and her best friend from when she was younger is coming back into town, and he sees her and he's like, I can help you get out of this situation, you can come stay with me. And so she's like, okay. So she goes and stays with him and realizes that him and his like 4 best friends are all living in the same house. So they start going to the same boarding school, and some weird stuff starts happening, some paranormal stuff starts happening. So this is a why choose paranormal romance, and she starts falling for all of the guys. I really like this one. This is the first book in a series from Tessa Hale. And I thought it was so fun. I really, really liked it. I love the why choose aspects of it. I really liked all of the guys. And so I'm really excited for the next book because this one left off on a cliffhanger. So I recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. The last book I read in May was Bittersweet Heart by Helena Hunting. This is the second book in this series by Helena Hunting. I think it's called like the Bitter Hearts series. I don't really remember. But this one was so good. It is a student-teacher romance, reverse age gap. So our hero and heroine meet at a lake, and the heroine is like laying out on this floaty, and she falls asleep and starts drifting away. And so the hero's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And so that kind of starts up their like friendship, but then it turns into a fling. So they have a summer fling together, and now the hero is going back to college for his last year, his senior year, and he sees a heroine and realizes that she is his new teacher, new professor. And so they have a forbidden romance, and she is also dealing with things from her ex, who is very like scary and creepy towards her. And so it was just so good. I loved it. It was very angsty. It was like they wanted to be together but couldn't, but then lots of things were happening. There's lots of action towards the end of this one with the ex, and I really like this one. So good. Can't wait to read the next book in this series. I did give Bittersweet Heart 5 stars. I don't know if I said that, but I loved both of Little Lies and Bittersweet Heart. They were both so good. But I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.